Welcome back to the Path to Peace Therapy podcast. I'm Stephanie Buckley, an AMFT ADHD Parenting Strategist and Family Systems Coach based in Hermosa Beach, California. I've been married for over 3 decades, and my husband and I are the proud parents of a thriving 23-year-old neurodivergent son whose story has shaped every episode, every insight, and every ounce of passion behind this work. I see clients throughout California virtually, and I also meet families, parents, teens, and young adults in person right here in Hermosa Beach and across the South Bay, helping them navigate ADHD, OCD, anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. This podcast began as a bridge between my professional training and my personal experience between what I knew as a therapist and what I was still learning as a mom. When I first pressed that button and started to record, I wasn't trying to build a brand. I wasn't thinking about analytics, downloads, or platforms. I was sitting in a quiet room holding years of questions, and I just wanted to make sense of them. I was trying to build understanding. Understanding for the parent who keeps wondering why mornings always end in tears. For the mom who loves her child more than anything, but still feels like she's constantly getting it wrong. For the dad who wants to connect but doesn't know how to reach a son who shuts down or explodes. For the teachers, the grandparents, and the professionals who see the behavior but can't always see the wiring underneath it. When I first started this podcast, I didn't have a marketing plan. I had memories. Memories of late nights at the kitchen table, wondering if I was doing enough. Memories of watching our neurodivergent son struggle with things that seemed easy for everyone else. And memories of realizing that what looked like defiance was actually dysregulation, a brain working twice as hard just to keep up. I wanted parents to have language for those moments. For the slammed doors, the blank stares, the I don't know, that's really, I'm overwhelmed. That's what the Path to Peace was born from. Not the desire to build a platform, but the need to build connection, to translate neuroscience into compassion, to turn family chaos into family clarity, because when parents understand what's really happening, not just what their child is doing, but why everything changes. Reactions soften, relationships strengthen, and families begin to breathe again. Over time, that simple desire to build understanding has grown into something much bigger than I ever imagined. Now it's a brand, yes. It's a podcast, a global community, a library of tools, but it's still, at its core, the same mission it was on day one. Helping parents and kids see each other clearly, maybe for the first time. One microphone, one mission, one deep hope. That parents could finally make sense of what's happening inside their child's brain and body. 6 seasons later, the Path to Peace has become something much bigger, a global conversation that now spans 47 U.S. states and listeners in more than 10 countries across 5 continents from Canada and the United Kingdom to Spain, Italy, Singapore, Japan, Kenya, and South Africa, and many more. Parents everywhere are asking the same questions. How do I help my child regulate? How do I stop yelling and start connecting? How do I calm the chaos in my home? And that's why this podcast exists. When our son was younger, I remember feeling helpless. He was bright, creative, and full of energy, but he struggled with routines, transitions, and focus. I didn't yet understand how ADHD actually worked in the brain. No one was explaining it clearly, not the schools, not the doctors, not even the books I was reading. I wanted to know why he couldn't just try harder, and why traditional parenting advice seemed to make things worse. Years later, after becoming a therapist, I realized something profound. He didn't need to try harder. I needed to understand differently. That realization changed everything, and it's the heart of why I do this work today. I created this podcast to give parents what I wish I had back then, a clear, compassionate, research-based roadmap for raising neurodivergent kids without losing your mind or your relationship in the process. ADHD isn't about attention, it's about regulation. It's the brain's executive functioning system, the part that manages planning, prioritizing, and impulse control running a few seconds behind. Imagine trying to drive a car where the brakes, the gas, and the GPS all respond 2 seconds late. That's daily life for someone with ADHD. They don't need louder reminders or harsher consequences. They need systems that support them, predictable routines so the brain can rest, visual cues so memory doesn't rely on willpower, movement and sensory breaks to regulate from the body up, calm, consistent adults who lend regulation when theirs falters. When parents understand that, behavior stops feeling like defiance and starts looking like information. What began as one mom and a microphone has evolved into a complete ecosystem, a library of neuroscience, family systems theory, and solution-focused strategies that you can actually use. We've explored topics like disrespect or dysregulation, why kids with ADHD and bipolar aren't being defiant, they're overwhelmed. Raising resilient kids, teaching children to tolerate discomfort and build grit. The family dinner episode, the neuroscience of connection around the table. 2 CEOs, 1 confused employee, how inconsistent parenting mimics dysfunctional workplace dynamics. When the narcissist is your co-parent, communication strategies that protect kids and preserve sanity. Your calm is their anchor. How emotional scaffolding helps kids regulate through you. Why is he like this? Understanding boys with ADHD from the inside out. Every one of these episodes was built to give parents and professionals language the kind I didn't have when I needed it most. Once you learn what's really happening inside your child's nervous system, everything shifts. A meltdown becomes a sign of overload, not disrespect. Avoidance becomes fear of failure, not laziness. Forgetfulness becomes working memory fatigue, not defiance. Understanding doesn't excuse behavior, it empowers response. It changes how we show up as parents, partners, and humans. Because peace doesn't come from control, it comes from connection, consistency, and compassion. Here's what's coming next. On the Path to Peace Therapy podcast, Learned Helplessness and ADHD, how over-accommodation can quietly delay independence. Parenting. Through divorce, protecting children from loyalty, binds, and triangulation. The executive function reset building daily systems for focus and follow-through. Raising independent young adults. Emotional and financial autonomy in the real world. Each series will come with downloadable tools, reflection guides, and family meeting templates so you can turn insight into action. Because knowledge alone doesn't change families, practice does. To every listener who's downloaded, shared, or written to say, "Your episode helped me see my child differently," thank you. Because of you, what started in my small Hermosa Beach office now reaches families across North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. 4 continents, 10+ countries. One shared goal, raising emotionally healthy humans. And if you've been walking with me since the early days, I'm so grateful. You are proof that peace is not a destination, it's a daily practice. You can find every episode, article, and resource at thepathtoppeacetherapy.com and follow along on Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Instagram at The Path to Peace Therapy. Soft music swells. As always, you got this, and I've got you. This podcast is for educational purposes and not a substitute for professional treatment. But the more we understand what's happening behind the behavior, the more compassion we can bring to our kids, our partners, and ourselves. Take a deep breath. Give yourself some grace. And remember, peace is possible, and you don't have to do this alone.